Hello, everybody. My name is Martino Puccio from The Athletic, ready to preview everything Euro 2020 on the Mayo Media Network. That's right. Every single game is going to be covered by us on the Mayo Media Network. So be ready to subscribe, like, comment, and turn on the notification bell for every single video that is going to previewing all these matches. So it's going to be a very exciting time over the course of the next month. I'm excited to preview some of these matches for you as well as the others. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the second match of Group A, kicking off on Saturday between the Welsh and the Swiss. Now, Wales and Switzerland are coming into this match over in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is going to be a neutral ground within this match because these two teams are obviously not from there. So we're going to get into why some of these numbers are coming out the way they are, money line, totals, and whatever else you want to look at. So we're going to start off with why these total numbers are so low. Let's start with the Welsh. They have not scored over one goal in 10 of their last 11 matches. That's right. 10 of their last 11 matches have featured very low scoring games, whether or not they're the ones that are being good defensively or them not scoring that many past them. But I said one goal is all they're really doing in all of these matches. So this is not a team that we could really rely upon. And I know a lot of people love to look at the Gareth Bales of the world, the Aaron Ramseys of the world to create chances and score in the net with this one. That's just not really the case with it. And when you're going up against a side like the Swiss, who has not lost a game since September against the Ukraine, one of the dark horses, might add you, in this tournament, it's going to be very difficult for them. There's too much inconsistency with these two players in Bale and Aaron Ramsey. Harry Wilson is one of those guys that's kind of picked up the scoring pace within these teams. But again, that's just not something you really love to see at the end of the day, because if you want goals, you want them to come from guys that you can rely upon, that have been prolific at the club level as well. That's just not the case with this side. So staying away from the totals a little bit, the under is very popular within this. Under 1.5 is kind of going a little higher than most spots because of these two sides and the way they play and how they have a lack of scoring on both sides, as well as being pretty solid defensively. So again, staying away a little bit from the totals, even if it's under 1.5, that's in the high 100s. For me, that's just not something I like to look at. I kind of like to look at other results and team totals and what they can do. So the Swiss come in here as obvious favorites, right? And this is something that I kind of want to look at because I think it's important to note that they might not be the favorite in this group. They might not make a lot of noise a lot of the time in these tournaments, but they are a very difficult side to beat. This is always a sneaky trap game type of team that you do not want to end up facing if you're trying to progress into the next round. And this is where Wales might have their best chance of advancing or picking up 3 points to maybe get in that third spot to advance. I just don't see it happening. The Swiss are very compact defensively. We know how, inconsistent the Welsh can be. So I'm looking at low scoring wins for the Swiss. And one of those could be a 1-0 win to Switzerland, plus 440. Now that is pretty damn good value if you ask me. We're not seeing the total go over the number, right? Because we've seen a lot of people going towards the under. We're staying towards that trend, but we're looking at it in a different direction. And that is coming in with a 1-0 win with the Swiss. But you could also do this. You could have the Swiss winning and them shutting out Wales. So the bet would be Switzerland to win +0, meaning a 1-0 win for the Swiss, as well as the plus 440, comes in at plus 200. Now, if you were to like either of those bets, it's probably worth betting both of them at that point, right? Because there's a lot of value within those two bets. You get a high plus money number. And at the end of the day, it's probably where the match is going headed, right? A low scoring win for either side. Don't rule out a 0-0 draw on this or even a 1-1 draw, because that's basically where this game is going to be played. It's not going to be as open as most would think, or not most would think, as most would not think. So again, if you like anything in terms of the Welsh, you probably look at a Bale anytime score that's at plus 245, or Harry Wilson plus 525. You want to look at the Aaron Ramsey numbers. There's just not a lot there that makes me confident within it. And again, if you like to look other places with team totals, fine. Maybe look at something like there. But these are kind of my bets there. Try and stay away from the totals and the unders if you want to, or if you want to take that risk and have a 0-0 draw, go under half a goal. That is something that you could definitely look at in this one. So expect a low scoring match in here between Switzerland and Wales. Moving on to Group B for the second match of the day, we're going to look at Denmark versus Finland. This match is going to be taking place in Denmark, so they're going to be the home team within this one. So it's going to be really interesting to see that dynamic as fans are slowly set back into these stadiums. Obviously, Denmark is the clear favorite in this one. Finland, as we know, they have their ups and downs. They could be very inconsistent. They've had really good showing in qualifying, and then they've had some not great showing within qualifying. They've stacked up against sides like Bosnia, which have usually been within these tournaments, and they've done well against sides like that. So I think that's something to note when you head into this. But Denmark is probably one of the best underdogs heading into this tournament. The second team to place in this group is more than likely going to be Denmark. So again, take that into account when we go into it, when we look at these odds. Money line, again, is something that I kind of want to stay away from in this. We have something that can be potentially very low scoring, or it could see us a couple goals. The over 2.5 is around plus 140. So that's definitely something worth noting and looking at the end of the day, because when the Finnish are going down, they're probably going to want to open up this match. And if they open up this match, it could lead to some counterattacks for Denmark, and Denmark has the quality. Simon Kjær has been one of the better center backs within Serie A football and has shown that over the course of the past, 24 months or so. And that's something of note there. When you have that veteran leadership established at a very big club, that carries weight heading into this. You also have Christian Eriksen, someone who has retooled himself after a really rough stretch. He's going to have more confidence heading into a match like this. One of the better creative midfielders in the world when he's on his day. So I wouldn't rule that out completely when we see him take place in this match. Again, I really like Denmark in this. I don't think the money line bet is worth it at the end of the day, but definitely something to look forward to with that. I think that they could end up scoring 2 goals in this match. And if you look at that, Denmark scoring exactly 2 goals comes in at plus 200. How can you beat that? They've done well against England. They've beaten them recently. They've drawn against Germany. The only side that's given them difficulty has been Belgium. And that's one of the better teams and favorites in this tournament. So not too much you could actually take away from games like that. So for me, I like Denmark in this one. It could go over 3 goals if you like the bet of over 2.5 at plus 140. But for me, the only thing I kind of like leaning towards here is Denmark scoring 2 goals exactly at plus 200. And for the final match of the day, we're going to be going between Belgium and Russia. Now, Belgium is one of the favorites overall within this tournament. We saw Russia host the last World Cup. They were dark horses out of nowhere, incredibly sketchy. We don't know if they were doping or they weren't, or maybe it was just some of that World Cup host magic. We have no idea. So we can't really take too much from that tournament that's almost 3 years ago into today. And Belgium right now, what can be said about them? One of the favorites within this tournament. We just highlighted a little bit before on how they beat down teams even like Denmark, who are of quality sides. So again, this is the golden generation of Belgium. They want to get off to a hot start within this one. It's worth looking at the money line within this. They're not sexy favorites. They're not overwhelming favorites within this match. Russia's getting a little bit of respect here when you see a number in the minus 100s. But again, that's with triple money line. Kind of want to stay away from that. Just because it's the start of the tournament, emotions are running high, especially for an experienced Russia side. And the same thing with Belgium. Sometimes teams like this could get off to a rough start to a tournament, and it's not killer for them. But for me, when I'm looking at some of this stuff is, how does Eden Hazard do for Belgium? Is he going to be one of those guys that's back in shape? Because he's had a dreadful past 24 months for Real Madrid. Can't stay healthy. Is he overweight? Why is he so inconsistent? Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku, they've been at the peak of their games right now. They're right in their prime. They need him to show up. So I can't really rely too much on Eden Hazard within this match, but I'm depending upon Lukaku and Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best strikers in the world in Lukaku and one of the best creative midfielders in the world in Kevin De Bruyne, 2 guys who have a chance at the Ballon d'Or if they have a fantastic tournament. So for me, I am kind of looking at staying away from the money line itself, but actually parlaying the money line. Take Belgium on the money line. If you parlay it with the total in this matchup over 2.5 goals, it comes out to plus 185. Again, it gets tricky with the triple money line. There is some risk to it with that, and that's why it's kind of in the plus money with this. Over 2.5 goals is just something I like. I don't trust the Belgium defense. I don't really trust Russia's defense either. It's not really the sexy part of either of these two teams. If they can do anything, it's creating chances. It's going to be a little bit of an open played game. I like Belgium to score a couple goals in this. And if Russia sneaks one in, hell, take me there. Just give me the over 2.5 with Belgium ending up winning, and that gets you at plus 185. If you want a draw within it too, Why not try and do a same game parlay with that? That's why we have the options at DraftKings. That's why it's so amazing. And one last thing that I wanted to note and put in with this one is both teams to score. Because if I have over 2.5 within this, I kind of envision a 2-1 win or something along the lines of that. If both teams are going to score, and I think I'm placing that other bet, why not just take it at even money for both teams to score in this match? So that'll round it out for all the Saturday matches. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. As I mentioned before, Martino Puccio from The Athletic going to be here all month helping break down some of the other games. Look out for the Sunday game video, which is coming up very soon.